I'm going to show you how to twist, taper, bend, and shear text using the deform properties. Now, I covered the deform properties in the previous chapter, so I'm not going to go into them in detail in this lesson, but I do want to show you that if you use the deform properties on text, you can get some pretty cool looking results. So to follow along, go to Photoshop and open that up. Let's start up a new document, File, New, click OK. Get the Type tool active, and type in some text here. So we're going to go, let's say, deform. Let's center that up a bit here. And now we're going to make some 3D text out of this by going to the 3D panel, clicking on 3D extrusion, and clicking on create. The ground plane's above our heads here, so let's pull it down a bit like so. There we go. And now I want to deform this text using the deform properties. So I select the text here in the 3D panel. Let me pull this in a bit so you can see it better like so. And then I'm going to go over to the deform properties here. We've got the 5 properties that we can use: depth, twist, taper, bend, and shear. Let me pull this down so you can see the properties here within bend and shear. Let's just take a look at extrusion depth. Let me just pull the ground plane toward us a bit so we can get a better look at the back side of this thing. So I'm going to take this guy right there and pull the ground plane toward us. Make sure the current view is active and pull it toward us like that. There we go. Maybe tilt it up just a little bit. A little more drama here as we see how this stuff works. So go back to deform here, go back to the deform properties here. Now let's look at some of these deform properties. We can increase the extrusion depth, obviously. Pretty straightforward. I'll pull it back pretty far. Let's take a look at taper, first of all. If I pull it forward, make it larger, it makes it wide. Make it narrow. I think it's so cool that you can do that. Let's just take a look at the ground plane. I'm going to rotate it a little bit here. Just how cool that is to be able to see it go off in the distance like that. Below or above. Not only does it go off in the distance, but you can decide what direction it's going to go. Let's go back to here. Click on you again. And you've got the deformation axis point. So I click this thing, goes up to the right, up to the left, go down, back to the center again. So these guys give you all these options as to how you're going to direct the taper. Let's talk about twist here. Go to the right, we twist it to the right. Pretty cool. Twist it to the left. Let's move on down to bend. I'm going to reset the deformation here like that. Go down to bend now. We're going to bend it so it comes around on itself to the right. Or we can do it vertically. I think you can see how that works there. Change to shear. This slides it off to the right. You can watch it up here and down here. Pulls it off to the right like that, or the left, up, or down. Let's take a look at some presets because I just want to show you them and also show you some fun things you can do with them or do with these guys. The first group here are bevel, inflate, and deflate. This is rolled on past them to the twists here and the tapers. Go to this one here. You see how it twists around. I'm going to go around a couple times here like that. Now it's looking kind of interesting, but you're losing the text. If I click away here, you see that text kind of disappears there. But it's so easy to change the colors of these materials when you've got text. So let's select the front one here, the front inflation. And let's change the color to something besides this brown. Then it'll make it pretty obvious that it's up there in front. Very simple. Now you can see the text much easier if you rotate this around. That's a pretty cool looking effect like that. Let's go back down here again. Take a look at another preset here. Go down and get this one that bends around on itself. Let's slide that over so you can see it better. But now we've got the brown text here kind of blending in with the background. We can change its color too by going down to the back inflation. Change it from the default color that we started with to something else, like let's say light blue for our purposes here. So you can make the front and the back look different that way. Kind of cool. Let's take a look at another preset here. Let's take a look at this one here that wraps around on itself and what value is there to that, because you won't be able to see the text anymore, but let's check that out. Let's look at the top here. That's kind of cool what that does. Turns those letters into those sort of separate concentric rings. So you know that you can do that with text. I'll undo that by resetting the deformation. Let's pull you over like this. Let's try one more preset here. Go to the end, down here at the bottom, this massive one here. That creates this huge kind of screw, if you want to look at it that way. Let's rotate you back a bit here, like so. Let's take a look at this guy. I'm going to go over here to the properties again, and we're going to increase the extrusion depth and see what happens a bit here. That will push the back out like that. Pretty amazing. Very nice. So I think you can see that these deform properties have an even greater impact when you're working with 3D text.